progetto che è basato prevalentemente su un concetto di sostenibilità molto forte. Significa fare in modo che non vengano più prelevate conchiglie dalle barriere coralline a scopi di madreperla, e quindi si può tranquillamente parlare di un progetto che prevede non solo l'utilizzazione di risorse che vengono allevate, ma anche un restocking delle popolazioni naturali sulle barriere coralline, il che comporta dei benefici notevoli per l'ambiente senza comportare problemi per l'economia delle comunità che lavorano.
Combining both economic development and protection of the environment has always been a difficult task and not an easy goal to achieve. A company that decides to adopt a responsible policy and take a better environmental approach must make trade-offs against pure profit and take time to develop ways to better protect nature. Collecting a product as delicate as mother of pearl is even more complex. Mother of pearls being taken from the coral barrier reef, a very fragile ecosystem. We're currently on the Australian coast by the Indian Ocean in the north of Western Australia, not far from the Tropic of Capricorn. These waters are affected by global warming. Their resources have been often, far too often, plundered for too long by mankind. In some parts of the region, the barrier reef is just a few hundred metres from the coast. Tourism is minimal, nothing compared to the barrier reef on the east coast. These waters are almost impossible to access from land, but quite often foreign boats sail in here, trying to fish illegally. The Australians working in this part of the country are committed to protecting the environment. People came to realise quite some time ago that nature can't be shamelessly exploited. The pearl hatcheries are established in uncontaminated waters.
As we've seen today, we have our pearl farm here at Deepwater Point on the Dampier Peninsula near Broome. We had an opportunity to visit the farm and look at the seeding vessel, the Nelina Bay, and a tour around the rest of the pearl farm, looking at some of our Pinctada maxima silver pearl shell that we're cultivating, both for pearl production and in this case specifically looking at the mother of pearl that we're sustainably producing here in the northwest. Sustainable production in pearls is fundamental to the way we work. We have two resources. One is the wild fish shell, predominantly from the 80 Mile Beach region, which is a managed fishery that is sustainably harvested for a component of our production. The rest of our production comes from propagated shell that we develop from spawning adults in a hatchery, growing the juvenile shell out till the point of adulthood for later seeding. The West Australian, in particular the pearl oysters from here, produce the finest South Sea pearls in the world. This is the natural heart for this species in the globe. It has an environment that perfectly suits the animals. The product we get here, particularly the pearls, in that case the finest exclusive item. They're very rare, they're very difficult to produce, and they're certainly at the top of the quality of pearls internationally.
This is one of the most spectacular parts of Australia. Since the end of the 19th century, this region's been the home of almost all of the production of pearls and mother of pearl. In the beginning, the harvesting of pearls was done simply by exploiting the natural resources. Now there are almost 20 licensed hatcheries spread over a stretch of 200 nautical miles. The Maritime Authority issued tough regulations and controls to ensure the production of pearls and mother of pearl is eco-sustainable. Harvesting from nature must fit with the conservation of the marine population. This is the purpose of a hatchery. It can now offer oysters grown in a controlled environment.
What we do is we look at funding, government funding that's available to fund regional projects for sustainable development within the region. And we were discussing the Mambana hatchery, and that's one of the projects that was funded through this committee. This region is known for its natural resources, and it's very rich in those resources, both mineral resources and cultural resources, and it's something that we have to be mindful of. Whatever projects we're looking at funding or getting involved in, we have to be mindful of those two aspects, as well as that overriding responsibility to look after the environment. So it's something that the Kimberley is sort of an icon area for Australia, if you like, for a pristine environment. It's something that has to be protected, allowing certain economic growth and development to occur as well. So it's that fine balance that you find any time you have the pristine environment influenced by a profit-making industry of any sort. It's something that is a very strong focus for us in this area.
There is a growing awareness about environmental issues among commercial operators, producers and consumers. This relationship between industry and nature becomes a challenge when we confront the issue of producing and harvesting mother of pearl. This material is used mainly in the manufacturing of clothing. This is why the Genova Aquarium Foundation created the ECOCREST certification. In collaboration with the Italian company BerBrand, it's been introduced in Australia to local administrators and producer groups.
Il marchio EcoCrest nasce dall'esigenza di salvaguardare molto di più le risorse naturali marine e acquatiche in generale in tutto il pianeta. In tante situazioni ci sono dei casi di sovrasfruttamento delle risorse, in particolar modo sulle scogliere coralline. Le scogliere coralline sono uno degli ecosistemi in assoluto più delicati del pianeta e laddove la vita trova un'espressione incredibile con milioni e milioni di forme e colori. Eppure le barriere coralline sono sovrasfruttate, sia da un punto di vista di pesca come pesci, sia da un punto di vista di prelievo di altre risorse, come possono essere i gasseropodi o le ostriche dalle quali si ottiene madreperla. E quindi il progetto si propone proprio di intervenire in questo settore per introdurre dei meccanismi virtuosi che facciano in modo che non ci sia più un prelievo indiscriminato, ma che anzi l'uomo si ponga in modo positivo nei confronti dell'ambiente, e questo deve essere riconosciuto anche dal consumatore finale attraverso un marchio. Il ruolo della Fondazione Acquario di Genova all'interno del progetto EcoCrest è proprio quello di aver istituito il marchio, di essere la detentrice del marchio e la custode del marchio e del suo disciplinare, cioè di tutte quelle regole che servono a far sì che il marchio crei un sistema virtuoso nella catena di distribuzione. Questo poi comporta che alla fine il consumatore finale avrà un'informazione decisamente molto più precisa e trasparente su dove andranno i suoi soldi acquistando un determinato capo che contiene del materiale che viene dalla catena certificata dal marchio EcoCrest. Tutti i soldi che verranno dalla raccolta che si ottiene attraverso EcoCrest andranno a progetti di conservazione nei confronti di ecosistemi marini o di specie acquatiche. Quindi è un processo trasparente che può essere verificato e laddove tutti gli attori sono una parte essenziale dell'intero sistema.
When we talk about protecting the environment, we can't forget the people who live and work in this territory, the communities that have always been living here, their goals and traditions, the history of these people and the land on which they live. For this reason, the project's main goal is to involve the local native communities. We'll visit the Bardi people, who live almost a 1-hour flight from the city of Broome, in a remote far north area called One Arm Point. This group consists of 7 families and around 350 people in total. They've always lived by the sea, their only economic resource. As we fly over this area, we can understand the beauty, the magic, and the mystery of this land. We're used to European history, where every square centimetre of land has been touched, altered, and where battles have been fought on every inch of ground. Here we get the impression that no one has set foot on this land. Nature's sending us this message even at an altitude of 1,000 metres. Man is not separate from the environment. Looking down from the plane, we have an opportunity to understand this. It's finally time to visit the native community. For 10 years, Australian research centres have been supporting development projects both within the country and in other parts of the Asia-Pacific region. It's a complex program. Access to infrastructure is not easy. Obviously, the hatcheries must be located near the sea, but not close to populated areas. Then it's essential to understand the characteristics of the community and their needs, not only from a financial point of view. The future expectations of these people are closely linked to the development of projects and concepts that are reliable and sound.
The benefit of this hatchery here is just for better income for the local people here. So they've got another source of income rather than depending on handouts such as CDP or Social Security. At least this way here, they're going out there and working and making that extra income to be able to purchase equipment that they need, i.e. being boats, motors and a vehicle, just so that they can get in and out of town and live their own lifestyle up here for their fishing and hunting and just for the basic survival of the people up here, because here we live off the sea and the sea's our resources. In the past, before we came to the mainland, people used to live on Sunday Island, which is 14 k's in that direction behind me, and they used to use troker shell and pearl shell for trading, for such as tea, sugar and milk. So it's been a lifestyle for the Aboriginal people here, especially the Bardi tribe, for many years in the past and in the future, hopefully, because that's why we have the hatchery in place, so we can reseed the reef to keep that product still there, as long as we keep a market in place and as long as we don't lose out on our resources.
A visit to the local hatchery makes that easier to understand. We are with local representatives and officials from the Ministry of Fisheries. The training program began 6 years ago. Young people like this girl, Vivian, dream about studying marine biology at university to improve her knowledge of mother of pearl and its environment. The latest teaching approach is not unlike traditional life, and the way knowledge has been passed from generation to generation inside this community. 200,000 shells of trochus have been planted and grown here already, 15 tonnes in the past year alone. Here there are around 30 tanks. They're used for commercial purposes and to provide stock for other hatcheries.
This reality was built some years ago and was made at very, very low cost because there was no funding available from the government for it to happen. So this is entirely here at the expense of the local community. This was really originally intended to breed trochus to reseed the reefs with, so we could maintain the production of trochus. There's Barry and his son and 5 local people, and that keeps them going full time. It's very, very important to the local community because, of course, the trochus is an external source of funding for them. So it's an opportunity funding, and it involves all the families at one arm point. So it filters the benefit of this facility, filters it right back through the whole of the community.
This hatchery and a discovery centre help with the understanding of the indigenous culture. Manbana in the Yauru native language means the first, and this is the only project of its kind in Australia. Owned and run by indigenous people, it's located in Broome, not far from the city. Native communities in this region who are interested in developing aquaculture enterprises turn here for support and information. Visitors can learn about native traditions, fishing techniques, and can see a large selection of the region's marine animals.
Difficulties we had with the production, the water qualities coming through. Production was being able to grow enough algae to feed the juveniles when we had them in the tanks, sourcing broodstock and water temperatures. With the trochus shell project, the troubles we had initially was with the water supply. We tried using more water, salt water, but we found there was too much mineral in the water. When we used fresh water from the sea, we found that there were too many bodies coming through actually eating all the eggs. So it was a big learning curve for us. Filters, we had to change the filters with the big tides. We had problems with filters clogging up with silt and everything else like that. Bringing the broodstock from one arm point over the road, sometimes they came and they were too stressed to spawn properly. And as I said earlier on, the water temperature, we had to get the water temperature right for them to spawn. Often we found that the males the females would spawn, but the males wouldn't fertilise the eggs, so we had lots of troubles. It's a multi-species hatchery. It's the first multi-species hatchery in Australia, and it's the first hatchery owned by an Aboriginal corporation. And it's owned by the Kimberley Aquaculture Aboriginal Corporation. We call it KC. It came about with discussion between the Bali people, fisheries, over the concerns of the depletion of the trochus stock up on One Arm Point. After a few meetings, KC was formed. We had to have a body to run with the funding applications. This is how KC came about. The first project we went to, that we ran with, was trochus shell, because we had Dr. Chan Lee working with us. He was an expert on trochus shell. The shell were easily sourceable from One Arm Point. We had the reefs. We didn't have to do any follow-up work with it. It's not as if we had to go out and monitor the growth rates and everything else like that. So it was a 3-year project we did with trochus shell. It was in 2 parts. We restocked the reefs with the adult broodstock and also with juvenile broodstock. So not broodstock, with juvenile stock. So that hopefully in the next year or two, the juveniles that we have put down, they'll be mature size by now. Hopefully they'll start spawning and should be able to start collecting them.
Perth. 1 million people live here. This is one of the most rapidly growing cities in Australia. Mineral and fishing resources are the main income for this part of the nation. Australian institutions such as the Ministry of Fisheries and Maritime Resources and marine associations are all interested in the ECOCREST certification project. Also, there is a strong collaboration with the Italian government trade organisation.
Come Istituto del Commercio Estero di Sydney siamo particolarmente contenti di questa collaborazione sviluppata con l'azienda BerBrand di Brescia su un progetto che ci vede impegnati già da un anno e che adesso dovrebbe arrivare alla sua fase conclusiva con questa missione in Western Australia, una missione che ha delle 3 scopi principali. Il primo dal punto di vista commerciale, che era il primo step del nostro lavoro, che era quindi comprare la madreperla dall'Australia per l'industria della moda in Italia, quindi per l'industria dei bottoni, per l'industria degli accessori. L'Australia è un fortissimo produttore di madreperla di alta qualità, molto pregiata, e quindi questa azienda cerca qua di sviluppare nuovi contatti e nuove forniture. Nel contempo però è interessante perché è un caso in cui un'azienda italiana si muove su un'ottica di lungo termine, quindi con un progetto di cooperazione non solo di vendita o di acquisto, e infatti la BerBrand viene qui insieme alla Fondazione dell'Acquario di Genova per uno studio ed un progetto sull'ecosostenibilità della coltivazione della perla. Quindi c'è tutto un lavoro scientifico che sta alle spalle di questo progetto, e qua in Australia gli sviluppi, l'interesse che noi abbiamo è da un lato studiare quello che è stato fatto, quindi gli esperimenti che le autorità e le istituzioni australiane hanno sviluppato in questo campo, soprattutto anche da un punto di vista del coinvolgimento delle comunità aborigene e delle comunità locali nella coltivazione della madreperla e delle perle, e dall'altro presentare queste nuove idee, questi nuovi progetti sviluppati con le massime autorità nel campo in Italia, e sviluppare delle forme di collaborazione, di joint venture, che portino poi in un futuro, speriamo prossimo, alla determinazione di un marchio proprio per le perle che potrà poi essere utilizzato da tutti i settori della moda.
Col progetto ECOCREST, BerBrand segna la differenza nel campo degli accessori moda, creando una risorsa sostenibile al 100%. Tutta l'intera catena di distribuzione, di produzione è certificata, è monitorata e controllata, e questo può essere fatto solamente tramite uno stretto accordo governativo e consociativo con tutti gli enti partecipanti, dagli enti di tutela ambientale agli enti produttivi, agli enti di produzione della perla, alle comunità dei pescatori, a tutti gli enti coinvolti nel nostro progetto che ci sostengono col loro supporto e credendo in un domani che possa rappresentare un patrimonio per il futuro, quindi non lasciando alla nostra generazione un debito alla generazione futura, ma dando la possibilità di creare una risorsa sostenibile al 100% che abbia un impatto zero sull'environment mondiale.